Hey guys, welcome back to Live on RealiTEA with Trisha and Kiley on the Russell Hand Show, where we have all of the latest live feed updates from last night on Big Brother. So, if you're here to watch the spoilers, then you're in the right place. But if you're wanting to stay spoiler free this season, then you're going to want to exit through the back door. So, for those of you who are still here and are here for all of the latest tea, like what happened in Veto and what's going on with the house and who's aligning with who, then you know the drill. Drop us some comments as we're going through the episode, and we'll be sure to address them with your questions, comments, concerns. Otherwise, if you're watching this a little bit later, then please drop us with some comments, hit us with a thumbs up, subscribe to the Russell Hand Show, and we'll be sure to talk on those topics as we go through our next episode next or tomorrow. So, Kylie, we left off yesterday with all things talking about the safety suite, what was going on with, we know that Ian got chosen by Christmas for safety this week, which we're all excited about. But that also means that Ian's going to get a costume.
Yeah, so we were speculating about what it might be and wondering if they were going to stick with the stars theme. And we were kind of throwing around some ideas that they might have. And they do stick a little bit with the stars theme. And Ian gets a costume where he is going to be acting out a little play that the BB producers have come up with.
But as my father used to say, screw the odds.
Screw the odds!
For the galaxy!
For the galaxy!
For the galaxy. So as you can see, he's got this fun little costume, and he actually has multiple roles that he has to play. Luckily, some of the house guests have been helping him out and taking on some of those other roles, so he's not doing them all himself. But he has this, when he gets called in, he has to act out the BB All-Star Wars. And he had many scenes that he had to do yesterday. That was a large part of the evening waiting on the veto comp. And as you can see, he just looks amazing in
His whole get up. He looks
his
like he is the king of another planet.
right, his space attire. So
I love
this is
how everyone in the house was just as excited. Like I feel like everyone's just as excited to see, Ian in this costume and participate with him.
right. They were having a lot of fun with it. I'm sure that as the week goes on, they are probably not going to enjoy it, especially when he's getting the calls to perform in the middle of the night. He did get woken up not long after they went to bed, and it was a late night in the BB house, and he probably wasn't asleep 2 hours before they got him up. And luckily, Bailey and Davon, being some good supportive housemates, they got up with him and helped him act out his part, and they all went back to bed. So they're probably going to get tired of it pretty much. Yeah, here is Davon's lovely get up also. So
This is a terrible costume.
yeah, in fact, whenever Davon first came out in this, everybody was in the living room except Enzo, and so they all ran in there real quietly behind Davon, and she just stood over Enzo until he opened his eyes, and that's probably a pretty terrifying thing to wake up to.
Yeah, this costume is whenever I was watching the feeds, I popped in on this part and I saw Davon, but I thought it was Ian, and I was like, "This is bad. There's not a word like I don't know that there's a worse costume. The Sam costume is like the very end of the spectrum of worst costume ever, but this is right next to it. I was like,
Yeah. Especially if he had to stay in it, that would be really bad. But hey, maybe it's going to give people some ideas for Halloween this year because this could be a whole group get up.
Yeah, a whole theme. Someone can be the star, someone can be Ian's costume, king of the planet, and someone can be this very unattractive alien.
With the rock and the yellow mohawk. So Pretty
Ugh.
special. Also, before the veto competition, we do get some game talk, and we know last night that, or the night before, that Janelle was talking to Memphis about the possibility of backdooring Nicole Franzel, and she did. After her conversation, she let several people know that that's what she had talked about with Memphis, and she does kind of put it out there that Memphis is on board with it. And of course, being the BB house, it gets back to Nicole Franzel, and this puts her in her legendary tizzy and not understanding why Janelle hates her so much, and very upset that they're even throwing her name out there as a possibility. The other backdoor talk that we get is from Danny, who goes up and chats with Memphis also before the veto and is pushing a Janelle backdoor. So, do you think this is something that Memphis is going to consider, either option?
Um, if he's smart, no. He shouldn't consider either of these options. We'll get into veto talk in a little bit, but he's already done so much damage this week. I would Angel on his shoulder needs to say, "Don't do anything else." Like, you've
Yeah.
already stirred the pot so much. And for those of you who have watched our past episodes, me and Kylie are like entertainment only. That's why we're here. But Memphis is really rubbing every single person in this house the wrong way, against the grain, and he should probably play it a little safe this week, not do anything else.
Yeah, I think the best option for Memphis would be to leave the nominations alone. Don't try to backdoor anybody because he's just going to upset more people than he already has. Um, but I think that can bring us into the veto competition. And we know who was selected to play in it. We had Memphis, the two nominees, Nicole Anthony and David. And then Ian, Nicole Franzel, and Tyler were selected by the random draw, and we get Enzo hosting the competition. So that'll be a lot of fun. Enzo is such a natural entertainer that him hosting the veto is going to make it super
Meow.
fun. Meow meow. So that'll be interesting to see when we have it played out on the show. But the as when the feeds come back on, they're talking about the competition, and it sounds like this is kind of a new competition to Big Brother. They are talking about it being something to do with a grip and having to balance a ball. So, for those of y'all that watch Survivor, that sounds very much like a Survivor type competition, not something we typically see in Big Brother, at least nothing that's coming to my mind that they've done before. And it seems like it's more geared towards the men. And that has a lot of the house guests talking when the feeds come back up.
Yeah, and they also played the veto competition. Like, I think it started like super early in the morning, like
Yeah.
very early in the morning, this morning. So I'm like, was BB trying to tire them down so that they would hurry up? Because why did this take? If for me, I'm like, think like now that we know this, and going in hindsight, I'm like, why did this take so long to set up if they're just balancing a ball in their hand?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what
I'm
it
so
is,
curious.
but yeah, we'll have to see exactly what it is on the episode. But I think that some of why they wait so late is because it is super hot in LA. I think I saw somewhere where it was supposed to be like 105 yesterday. So I know that they try to wait till it's a little bit cooler, but the competition had to have started at 1 or 2 in the morning BB time. So these people are tired. They've been up for a super long time. Just the emotional strain.
It's plenty cool at 10 p.m. Like, come on.
Right, right, exactly. We're in Texas. It's just as hot here, and you can go outside and enjoy it at 10 o'clock. Even at like 8 or 9 o'clock, it's cooled down enough that it's not that hot. And if they're not running around, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But
Yeah. If they're just
I,
standing there with the ball, whatever. I mean, I guess they're being extra precautious because of COVID and not wanting to have productions come in because someone passes out.
right, I guess that is true. They have to take some extra precautions. No one can get dehydrated. No one can pass out because we cannot bring a doctor in to
You're
see
just
you.
gonna
So,
die. Sorry.
yeah, we're just going to have to leave you in there, see if you can make it out on your own, but we cannot bring anybody into your bubble. So, please keep yourself healthy.
So this comp was geared, you said more towards the men, it seems, and the house guests are being rubbed the wrong way. The women in this comp were who? Nicole A, Nicole F. Was there
Hmm.
another? Or
Yeah,
are those
there's
the only two
Nicole
girls?
A and Nicole F. And Nicole A says that she dropped within like 6 seconds. I think she was out super fast, which is really disappointing. Last
So
night,
disappointing.
I went to sleep while the feeds were still down, and I dreamed that Nicole Anthony had won the
Mhm.
veto. And so when I woke up and heard that she dropped out after 6 seconds, I was like, oh no. And I
Dreaming
don't,
isn't enough. You've got to
right.
manifest it. You
I
got
didn't
to.
manifest it. I only dreamed it, so it did not come true. We know Nicole Anthony does not win the veto, and we also get Nicole Franzel talking about the competition, and I think she dropped out super quickly too, like definitely under a minute. And so the women did not perform well, and this does have a lot of people upset because so far two of the competitions that they've had, this one and then the table maze and the premiere, like the men's were way up at the top and the women all had to go to the end of the table maze.
Yeah.
So Big Brother needs to turn it around, stop having competitions that are more geared towards one gender and let it be a fair competition. I just feel really bad. I mean, Nicole Anthony can't weigh like 90 pounds. And
Right.
so she is not going to be able to go into a strength competition against men.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think she would have done fine in an endurance type comp where they had to hang onto a wall or something like that, but I don't know, this
right where
comp
it's
sounds something different.
right where it's like body weight, she can handle that, but just in a strength competition, she's not going to be able to compete with the men. And I mean, the only female in there that can probably compete with them is Christmas, and that's just given her background and what she does for a living. So, not
Yeah,
exactly fair, but it is what it is.
that
Um,
takes that takes us into the winner of the veto comp. We find out is drum roll, Memphis is the winner of the veto comp. So, heading into another boring week here in the BB house.
Yeah, Memphis does manage to pull out the victory, and being the grandpa that he is, instead of sticking around and letting people come up to the HOH room to talk about what he's thinking and where he wants to go with the veto, he goes to bed and locks the HOH door. So pretty much once the feeds,
Bye.
yeah, peace out. Once the feeds come back on, we don't get anything from Memphis. So where Memphis's head is at, we are not going to find out until today. He's
The
always up.
suspense.
Yeah, the suspense. We get lots of talk from the other house guests and their speculations and what they would like for him to do, but we don't know where Memphis's head is at. And we do
No.
know that those two backdoor options were thrown out to him. So today we will get to see if he is contemplating it.
So,
Um,
do we think that Memphis is, yesterday we talked about how Memphis is coming for Janelle's comp record. Maybe that's where his head's at. He's like, just gonna go for the comp record. Don't really care about the actual veto itself.
Yeah, so I mean, two down, seven to go for him to tie Janelle's record. We'll see if that happens or not. Yeah, but he wins the veto, and he said that this was too late for him, and he was ready for bed. So he went ahead and went out. Um,
Night night.
while he is in bed, which is interesting, all the game talk is going on without him, and we see especially the three girls that are supposed to be in this big alliance with him, Christmas, Danny, and Nicole Franzel, talking about how Memphis just really pisses them off. Just putting it bluntly, they are over
They're
him.
done. They're done.
Yeah, they're done with
Wiping our
him.
hands.
They don't like that he's disrespectful to women. They don't like that he talked down to David so much whenever he did the nomination speech, and where we were thinking that this was going to be a really good opportunity for Memphis to solidify that group, this group is done with him. And while the three girls are talking about how he is, Tyler comes in and he also says that he's done with him and that he wants to just move on with the group of 5 with Cody and those 4 and exclude Memphis. So Memphis is setting himself up for a tough week next week because he pretty much has everyone in the house pissed at him.
Yeah, he's a lone warrior at this point, and I mean, he's
And he doesn't realize it.
and he, I mean, this is a formula for so many things to go wrong for him. Like, not only did he totally butcher how HOH speeches go, and disrespect people in the house, but now he's also won this veto, which, I mean, that's good for him. Like, whatever, his snoms aren't going to change, I guess. But it's also just showing, like, well, maybe he's also a competition threat. Like, they have no reason not to get rid of Memphis next week.
Right, except for the fact that he is a little bit bigger target than everybody else.
He's a meat shield for every single person in that house.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few people right now that aren't upset with Memphis in some type of way. So,
Bitter jury, here we come.
yeah,
Choo-choo.
he would be a good person at this point to drag to the end because no one would vote for him as of how things are today, big day 10 in the Big Brother house. So,
Can
he's
Memphis redeem himself? What would
yeah,
Memphis have to do to redeem himself to this cast and to America?
yeah, I don't know, but one thing that is a little bit disappointing about the Big Brother community, I've been seeing on Twitter where people are like going on Yelp and leaving his restaurants these terrible reviews, and just don't be that kind of person. No, you may not like how Memphis is treating people in the Big Brother house, but this is this man's livelihood. Like, leave him alone. And it's
And
not
so
just
many,
him.
yeah,
Yeah,
so many people
he has cooks and waitresses and all kinds of people. Like, don't do that. That's not cool. He
at
hasn't
Twitter World
at Twitter World, he has not done anything that is just that awful. So,
that we
I
have
don't
seen yet. I mean,
right.
who knows what we're going to see in the speeches.
Right, but I still don't think it's on that level where we go
No.
after this man's livelihood. So, let's just keep it to the Big Brother house.
Yeah, keep it
Keep
in the game,
yeah,
folks.
keep your hatred towards Memphis as a Big Brother player, not necessarily as an actual human being. So,
Slide in his DMs and let him know how you feel.
yeah. Let him handle it from there.
So from there, from all of the things that happen in Veto, Memphis's world is crumbling before him, but he gives 0 Fs because he just goes to sleep.
Yeah. And I think he's completely oblivious to it.
He has no idea.
Yeah.
So then, Tyler was in the Level 6 Alliance in his last season, and now he's moved into a new alliance.
Yeah, they are discussing their alliance name that includes Memphis, and Tyler throws out, well, maybe we should be called the Hard Six. And I'm just thinking, come on, Tyler, you don't have anything more original than the Hard Six. Let's get rid of the numbers. You know, last year we had Grateful and Undeniable. Now we're trying to have the Hard Six. Let's leave the numbers out of it. Let's come up with some interesting name. So Christmas throws out that they should call themselves the Incinerators. And I kind of think that's an interesting name. But little old Nicole Franzel, who had just had the conversation with Ian about needing to downplay her intelligence, says that she doesn't like the name the Incinerators because she doesn't know what that means.
Just like,
Yeah, so I'm
can't be
not.
in an alliance if I don't know what it means.
I don't know what this word means, and so it's just comical because she did have that conversation with Ian about needing, but maybe she's acting here.
Yeah.
Maybe this is her downplaying her intelligence. I hope so because incinerator's not that big of a word, so I feel like she should probably know the definition of it.
She did go to college, so
Yeah.
well, whether it's strategy or actual Nicole being Nicole, I do like incinerators better, and I 100% agree. It any BB fan would agree, do not put numbers in your lions. Like, there's no point in that,
Yeah,
first of
we've
all,
had
because
that.
just like over it, we got an overload of that last season, but also it tells how many people are in your alliance.
Yeah, if
Like,
someone slips
why?
and they hear it, then
They're
they're
gonna
going
be
to start putting things together, which they're already doing anyway. So, and I see Tyler slipping up and calling them level 6. And to me, that would be like, red alert, red alert. He is still the BB-20 Tyler. What are we doing keeping this man around? So, um, I think I would steer it towards another name for sure.
definitely. So as of today, it looks like Nicole Anthony is going home as people aren't wanting to send David home. The house guests, it's not that this is Memphis's target necessarily, but he at this point hasn't made it clear whether he's going to use a veto or not. Um, so as of right now, Nicole Anthony looks like she'll be the one to go home just because people are wanting to save David.
Yeah, and they do ask Memphis who his target is, and he says that he doesn't have a target. He just wants the House to decide. So, unless he speaks up, and obviously all of this is contingent on what he decides to do with the veto, but if the nominations stay the same and Memphis doesn't say, no, I really want to go after David, and people follow through with what he wants because they may not even care. But just looking at the votes, unless there is some way that the people that like Nicole Anthony, and I think there are enough people that like her. The problem is that the people that like her don't like each other. So I think that Nicole Anthony has Kaser, Janelle, Kevin for sure that would vote to keep her. If Bailey and Davon can just really start seeing things clearly, we would hope they would also go with that side of the house. And then that kind of leaves Ian up for grabs. Ian may feel an obligation to Christmas for saving him, so he may be swung to that side. But if they could manage to get Ian to vote with them, that would be 6, which would bring it to a tie that Memphis would have to break. But I see almost no way where Nicole gets 7 of the 12 available votes to stay.
But and I mean, we also know that Ian is in an alliance with Nicole, the Adorkables.
Yes.
So Ian has said like he's doing his own thing. Like he's trying to really process, do some, you know, think about everything and what's best for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it will be interesting, but as of today, everyone's kind of seems to be shifting towards we're going to keep David and Nicole will go. So she really needed that veto win. It was super unfortunate to find out that she did not win and wasn't even able to really give it a fighting chance.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle for her. I don't know if she's going to have she's got her work cut out for her. If she's gonna stay, she's really gonna have to do some convincing. I think the only people that are really eligible for her to try to persuade, no one in that group of 6 is going to vote to keep her because of her ties to Janelle. So I feel like Bailey, Davon, Ian, Enzo, maybe Christmas a little bit. I feel like those are the only 5 votes where she's got any type of wiggle room. I think Danny, Cody, Tyler, Nicole Franzel, those 4 are completely locked in where she's going. So
Yeah.
she's got a tough road ahead if she's going to stay. And like we said, this is all contingent on what Memphis does with the veto because there is the chance that he pulls one of them down and puts Nicole Franzel up as a backdoor option. Do you think that, let's say hypothetically, he leaves David up, pulls Nicole Anthony down? Do you think that the votes are there to get Nicole Franzel out of the house?
Um, I honestly over Nicole Anthony, I would think actually. I think that that could happen.
See, I'm just a little bit worried that those 4 people, which I guess that takes 1 vote away, that leaves them down to 3. But um, I think that if he tries to put Nicole Franzel up as a backdoor, I don't think it's going to be successful. I don't think that there's going to be enough votes there. And possibly that could be the only thing that Memphis could do worse this week is to put Nicole Franzel up to try to backdoor her and it be unsuccessful.
The only thing
If
that Nicole Anthony would have going for her in that situation would be that Janelle is super Nicole Anthony and anti Nicole F.
yeah,
There's also this comment over here that cracks me up, and it says from Cowboys fan 88, what if it's Nicole A versus Nicole F and someone votes out the wrong Nicole?
that would be so great. In fact, I'm pretty certain on Celebrity Big Brother that Meta World Peace voted out the wrong person. Like he went in and he said the name of the person he wanted to keep and not the person he wanted to get rid of. So we might be able to see a duplicate of that. Maybe, David David messes up, although it would probably be to evict Nicole Anthony, so that wouldn't be good, but it would be kind of funny to be like, no, 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 that's not the right person.
Shit, I voted out the wrong person. And I mean, and it would so be on a week where the votes are split.
Yeah. Like, oh no, what did I do? The more interesting option, if he does decide to use the veto, would be to backdoor Janelle. If he puts Janelle up, there's no way she's going to stay in the house. So whenever she goes up, she's going out. So if they decide to do that, then she's screwed.
Yeah, let's hope Queen J is able to stay off of the block.
Oh, yeah. And so one other thing that we had wanted to talk about was they are talking about this possibility that Nicole Franzel's name is being thrown out there. And that big group that is working with Memphis, they talk about how today they basically want to pull in the Survivor Boston Rob buddy system and they want to stick to Memphis all day long and not give him any possibilities of being talked into the Nicole Franzel backdoor. So that's an interesting thing that we haven't seen brought into Big Brother before, which it isn't a terrible idea. Obviously, people can ask for you to leave the room, in which case it would be super awkward if you didn't. But as of right now, they plan to have somebody stuck to Memphis' side all day so that he is not able to talk it out and hopefully doesn't pull the trigger on backdooring Nicole Franzel.
I cannot wait to watch the feeds today and see how this plays out. This is gonna be so. I feel like Memphis might catch on to this and be like, "Can y'all go away?"
What are y'all doing?
Yeah. So that brings us to our tweet of the day. Tweet.
Our tweet of the day is going to go out to whoever is running David Alexander's Twitter account while he's in the house. We say that maybe this is the tweet that David decided to send out from the DR, and it says actually obligatory screw Memphis tweet. And we thought this was just pretty fitting for how things have gone in the house between these two, and pretty funny for them to be tweeting this out from David's account.
Yeah, whether it's David, Kevin David, or David's Twitter person, we stand. We stand.
Yeah, we like this energy that y'all are bringing. I think we've got a few questions. Memphis isn't talking anyway, though, right? I'm not exactly sure.
I mean, that's his plan. His plan is he's not really saying that he has a target, right? So
Right.
as of right now, he's not really saying like yay or nay.
Yeah, he hasn't said who his target is. We didn't get any game talk from him after the veto last night, so it's really a big question mark, and it's just speculation as to what's going to happen today.
And then Cowboys fan 88 letting us know Memphis is going after the weak players. Yes, he definitely is, and we're all very disappointed in Memphis this week. Memphis stock is still down at an all-time low. Even though he won the veto, it's still at a low.
Yeah, we will have an episode tonight where we get to see Memphis's nominations because there is a little bit of controversy around what he says to David. I'm actually pretty excited to see this and to see where his head is at and if he was just meaning it on a game level and maybe it came across a little wrong or what he has going through his mind.
Yeah, so y'all be sure to check out the episode tonight. That's airing on CBS, and we'll be back here tomorrow to talk about not only the episode because you guys will see that. We'll touch on it very quickly tomorrow, but we're also going to see some interesting things happening on the feeds tonight when it comes to the veto ceremony. So be sure to check us out tomorrow at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're here every day over your lunch break to talk about all of the latest tea in the Big Brother house. Be sure to drop us some comments, hit us with a thumbs up so that we can keep bringing you guys some great content on all things on the feed. So you're not having to go out there and read them. We're just bringing them to you every day, the highlights of everything going on the feed. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel, and we will be back tomorrow. Cheers, Kylie. Bye,
Cheers.
everybody.